Hello, it's Brett here from Brett on the Go, and welcome back to Retirement Today. Today's episode is a little different. We're diving into my video, Retirement, What a Stupid Idea. And let me tell you, if you think you've got retirement all figured out, this one's going to make you second guess everything. But hey, I'm not flying solo today. I've got a couple of awesome team members from Brett on the Go with me who are going to bring their own take on this. Please welcome Sebastian and Mercedes to the show. So, today we're talking about that vacation phase of retirement. You know, that time when everything feels amazing at first, but then you realize you've got 30 more years of this. And suddenly you're thinking, wait, what do I do now? Sebastian and Mercedes are going to help us unpack all of that, share their thoughts, and maybe throw in a few laughs along the way.
Today we're looking at something that I think a lot of us think about, retirement.
Oh, yeah.
But not just like the whole, 401k and like, can I afford it thing?
Right.
More like what do you actually do with all that time, when you're not working anymore? What's that even like?
It's funny, isn't it? We all dream about it,
Yeah.
but I feel like nobody ever really talks about what that transition actually feels like.
Exactly. So today's deep dive is based on a YouTube video. Retirement, What a Stupid Idea, with hashtag retirement by Brett on the Go. And he's actually recently retired himself, so he's documenting the whole thing kind of in real time,
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you,
That's brave of him.
it's turning out to be quite a journey.
Yeah.
What really struck me when I was watching the video was just how honest he is about the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot. It's usually all sunshine and roses.
Right, like travel the world and play golf every day kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So Brett kind of starts out by calling this first part of retirement his phase one.
Okay.
And he calls it permanent vacation.
I like it.
And let me tell you, he's not kidding around.
Oh.
So he sells his business, right? Downsizes his house, gets himself a 43-foot motorhome,
Wow.
and just takes off on this massive road trip. Like, we're talking 8,450 miles
Yeah.
across 20 states.
I mean,
Yeah. Talk about hitting the ground running, right?
I guess that's the dream for a lot of people, right? Like, finally you have the time to just...
Go travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do all the things you put off.
Exactly.
And then on top of all that, he decides to kick things off with a cruise on the Icon of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship.
I've heard about that thing. That's like ultimate luxury, right?
Oh, yeah. We're talking, 20 decks,
Yeah.
7 pools, like an actual park on board.
It's like a floating city.
Right. So, I mean, talk about an escape from it all.
Total escape.
But
yeah.
but then something interesting happens, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can almost hear a shift in his tone in the video, like that initial, woo, I'm free feeling.
Right, that honeymoon phase.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of starts to morph into something else.
Interesting. So what happens? What does he start talking about?
Well, he starts to talk about how strange it is to suddenly have all this unstructured time.
Yeah.
Like, especially coming from this really, fast-paced, demanding career.
Right.
It's a huge adjustment.
Yeah. I can imagine that. It's like going from 100 miles an hour to 0.
Exactly. And that's got to mess with you on some level, right?
Absolutely. There's a whole psychological transition involved in that.
And he's really candid about the emotional side of it, too. Like, there's this one part where he's describing the silence, and he calls it deafening.
Wow.
And that really stuck with me, It makes you think about what it's like to go from, feeling needed and important at work,
Right. You're the man.
to suddenly just being,
The retiree.
yeah, like that's your whole identity now.
Yeah. Which can be hard, right? Like that word retiree. I don't know. It just sounds kind of...
Limiting,
Yeah, a little bit. Like you're just putting your feet up and waiting for...
like waiting for something to happen.
Exactly.
And it's clear that Brett's wrestling with this,
Yeah.
And then he brings up his father, who's in his 90s and still going strong.
Oh, wow.
And it seems like that's when it really hits him. Like, what is he going to do with the next 30 plus years? This isn't just a vacation anymore,
Right. It's a whole other chapter.
A whole other chapter. That's such a good way to put it.
It is. And that's a question we all face, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do we want our lives to look like when work isn't at the center anymore? What gives us that feeling of purpose?
And so Brett's video, he talks about doing all those, typical retiree things like shopping. And you could just tell he's looking for something more.
It's like, okay, vacation's over. What's next?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be diving into in this episode. So,
Yeah.
stay tuned. It's almost like he's trying all these things, like trying to fill this void, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
And it's funny, he jokes about joining like a Target fan club.
What?
Yeah, because he finds himself spending so much time there.
I mean, who doesn't love Target?
Right. But you can tell he's like searching for something more.
Yeah, I think that humor is really important, though, you know? It makes it all feel less heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, boom, you're suddenly thinking about, like, big questions.
Yeah, like what does it even mean to live a good life?
Exactly. And I think that's something we can all relate to, you know? It's not just about retirement.
No, it's bigger than that.
Way bigger.
And that's why Brett's video is so interesting. It's like he's saying, hey, it's okay to question all those assumptions we have about retirement.
Like, you don't have to just travel the world and play golf.
Yeah, or like, suddenly take up pottery.
Right. It's about figuring out what you want.
What works for you? Yeah.
For you. And that might take some time, some experimenting.
Absolutely. And for years, it felt like there was only one way to do retirement, right? Like work hard, save your money, and then bam, you stop working, and that's it.
Right. Like that was the finish line.
The golden years.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work for everyone.
No. And with people living longer now,
and wanting different things.
it's like that old model just doesn't fit anymore.
And that's why I think Brett's experience is so refreshing. He's showing us that it's okay to figure things out as you go.
Yeah, give yourself permission to try things, to fail, to change your mind.
Exactly. It's a journey, right? And maybe there isn't even a destination.
Maybe the journey is the destination.
Whoa, mind blown. So, and here's the thing. Brett actually ends his video with this call to action.
Oh, I like that.
He wants people to share their own experiences.
That's cool. It's like he's building a community around this whole idea.
Yeah, he's saying, hey, we're all in this together.
Which is so important because sometimes it can feel really isolating.
Oh, yeah, like you're the only one who's like struggling with these questions.
Exactly. But you're not. And that's what I love about Brett's approach. He's so open and vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think that gives other people permission to be open, too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it makes you think, like, could we be doing more as a society to help people through this transition?
Oh, that's a good question. Like beyond just the financial stuff.
Right, because it's so much more than that.
It's emotional, it's social, it's like existential almost.
It's about finding your place in the world when work isn't defining you anymore.
Exactly. And I think that's something we should all be thinking about, even if retirement is still like way off in the future.
Oh, totally. Because it's not just about what you do in retirement.
It's about how you live your life leading up to retirement.
So you're ready for that transition. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, are you cultivating your interests? Are you building relationships? Are you thinking about what truly matters to you?
It's about being intentional, I think.
Yeah.
Like you're actively shaping the kind of life you want to live.
Not just letting life happen to you.
Yeah. And that takes effort.
It does.
But it's so worth it.
It's like that whole idea of, slowing down and just relaxing.
Yeah.
Maybe that works for some people.
Maybe.
But it's not the whole story.
Definitely not. I think for a lot of people, it's actually the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
It's about getting more involved in things, volunteering, mentoring.
Starting businesses. Yeah.
Right. Like you've got all this experience.
And bills.
And now you have the time to actually use them for something you care about.
It's almost like shifting gears.
Yeah. A different kind of gearing up, right?
Exactly. So what about you? Like what really stood out to you from Brett's story?
For me, I think it was just how honest he was about the whole emotional side of it, Yeah. That feeling of like being a little lost.
Yeah.
Not really knowing who you are anymore.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that enough.
No, I don't.
Like, it's okay to feel those things.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
It is. And it's like he's giving everyone permission to be a little messy with it,
Totally.
You don't have to have it all figured out on day one.
You really don't. And there's so much pressure these days.
Oh, I know.
To like have the perfect retirement, travel the world. And
Instagram it all.
Exactly. But Brett's story, it's like a breath of fresh air.
It is. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. So I don't know. It feels like there's this bigger question here.
What's that?
Like, if the old way of thinking about retirement isn't working anymore,
right?
What does that mean for all of us?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Well, I think it means we need to start having some different conversations.
Yeah, like what?
About how we support people through this transition.
Okay.
How we create communities.
Yeah.
Opportunities for people to stay engaged.
To find that purpose, yeah.
Exactly. And I think it also means we need to redefine what success looks like in this next chapter of life.
Not just like financially, but...
No, like holistically. What makes you feel fulfilled? What makes you feel alive?
Those are good questions.
Yeah.
And I think, going back to Brett's video,
Yeah.
he starts out by calling retirement a stupid idea.
I remember that.
Right. But by the end, it seems like he's realizing
What?
maybe it's not so stupid after all.
Right. It's just different.
Different. And maybe that's the takeaway here.
Right.
It's not about following some predefined path.
No.
It's about creating your own path.
It's your story to write.
So whether you're, planning for retirement way down the road,
Yeah.
or you're already there,
Living it.
stay curious, stay open to new possibilities.
And don't be afraid to rewrite your story if you need to.
Exactly. What will your phase 2 look like? That's what we want to know. Hit us up in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving with us.
See you next time.